Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So today I'm going over the 2022 Senate map again, and this time I'll be doing what is the Democrats' best case scenario for how they could do in 2022. I did a video a few days ago on what the Republicans could potentially do and what their best case scenario would be in the Senate, so I thought it was only fair to do a Democratic best case scenario in the Senate as well. So to start off, Democrats hold 35 seats, Republicans hold 30. The Democrats will for sure win all the seats on the West Coast, including Hawaii, without pretty much any contention. Republicans should still win Idaho, Utah, and Alaska. Lisa Murkowski might be competitive. However, I think that it's more likely a Republican primary challenge will be more competitive than a Democrat winning in Alaska. I really don't see any Democrats winning there. The Dakotas, North and South, will both be Republican states. Oklahoma will be safe. Kansas, I will come back to because in a Democratic best case scenario, I could see Kansas potentially getting competitive. Louisiana and Arkansas would also be safe. Missouri, I'll come back to as well because a lot of things have to happen for Missouri and Kansas to be competitive, but there is a scenario where that could happen. The same with Alabama would be safe. Indiana would be safe. Kentucky as well, I think. Illinois would be safe. Let's see. I'm going to leave the rest of the South tossed up for now. Connecticut, Vermont would be safe. New York would be safe as well. So Democrats get up to 44. Republicans get up to 41. I think even in a Democrats' best case scenario, I think South Carolina would still go likely for Republicans. Lindsey Graham is more unpopular than his Republican colleague, and Lindsey Graham was still able to beat Jamie Harrison, who I don't think runs for Senate again. So South Carolina could be competitive, but I doubt it'll be that realistic of the Democrats winning. The same thing with Missouri. Missouri, I don't think will be competitive in 2022. However, I put it in the likely column if a Democrat like Jason Kander decides to run. I think Kander is the only Democrat that can make the races really close in Missouri. So Missouri is possible for being close. Same thing with Kansas. It all depends on what Governor Laura Kelly does. If she decides to run for the Senate, I could see this race potentially getting close. I still think a Republican would win in a likely column, considering that the only reason she won last time was Chris Kobach was very unpopular as the Republican nominee. So unless that happens again, I don't think a Republican will lose in Kansas or Missouri or South Carolina. So now Republicans are at 44, Democrats are at 44. In the Democrats' best case scenario, Colorado probably goes somewhere over 15%, which would be enough to categorize in the safe column. Colorado used to be a swing state that voted for President George W. Bush, and Obama won it big over McCain. Obama won it pretty, not big, but it was close, but by about 4 or 5 points over Romney. And then President Trump really hasn't put up much of a fight in Colorado, and Republicans have been losing Colorado ever since. Just knowing a little bit about Colorado, if the Republicans were to run, say, Bob Bupre, maybe it would be a little closer in the likely, maybe even lean column at the best, but Democrats are still expected to win Colorado. So that gets the Democrats to 45. Next, we go up to the state of New Hampshire. I think in the likely column is fair for New Hampshire. I think if Chris Sununu decides not to run, I think this race could very easily be a safe seat. If Chris Sununu does run, I think for me it becomes an immediate toss-up. And I think Chris Sununu is actually favored in that race. But in the Democrats' best case scenario, I could easily see Maggie Hassan winning this race. If Sununu, even if Sununu does run, I could at least seeing it be in a lean somewhere 3 to 4% win for Maggie Hassan. I don't know if it's the best case scenario for that. I just don't see Chris Sununu getting blown out in New Hampshire, even in Democrats' best case. So Democrats are 46, Republicans are 44. Next goes to Nevada, where Nevada would likely win, or would win in a likely to lean margin. I would think probably in a lean margin, to be completely honest with you. Nevada showed that it was very, very close in 2016 and 2020 and 2018. So I think Nevada will be close once again. However, in the Democrats' best case scenario, I do believe Catherine Cortez Masto will win again. The really only concern for her would be if a Republican like Brian Sandoval were to run. I think Brian Sandoval could realistically win. I don't know if a Republican like Dean Heller or Adam Laxalt would be able to win, but they could definitely make it close. But I still think that Catherine Cortez Masto would win that race. Now 47 for the Democrats, 44 Republicans. Now where I think we would go would be, oh, excuse me, this should already be blue for Jon Ossoff. So that's 48 for the Democrats, 44 for Republicans. Next we go to Arizona with Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly was able to beat Martha McSally. He's up again to run for a full 6-year term. I think that as long as the Republican nominee is not Martha McSally, this race should probably be just as close, if not closer. However, I think in a Democrat's best case scenario, Mark Kelly would still hold on to this race, even by a very narrow margin. Now, 49 Democrats, 44 Republicans. The next one is the state of Georgia. Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff were able to beat their Republican opponents. Raphael Warnock is up in 2 years to run for a full 6-year term. As long as the opponent is not Kelly Loeffler, I'd expect Republicans to turn out better than they did in 2020 runoff election. The question is who that Republican will be, and depending on the right candidate, or in this case the wrong candidate, Raphael Warnock may be able to win, maybe by a bigger margin, maybe not. It depends. Also, if Stacey Abrams runs for governor, that could boost turnout as well. So it depends who the nominee is, but I could see Raphael Warnock holding on to the seat in the Democrats' best case scenario. That gets Democrats 50 seats, Republicans at 44, so the Democrats will hold the Senate majority. I think that even in their best case scenario, Ohio still narrowly goes to the Republicans and a lean to likely margin. I can't see Ohio flipping. I just really do not see that happening. Even Iowa, I think Iowa could potentially vote for a Democrat if the Republican retires. I just don't know if there's any prominent Democrats who could really win. They could make it very close, but I don't think they could win. I'd put Iowa in the tilt column for now. So Democrats are at 50, Republicans are at 46. The first one you notice is Pennsylvania. I can absolutely see Pennsylvania going in the lean column for the Democrats. Pennsylvania may flip this time around anyway. So in a best case scenario, I could absolutely see the Democrats running Pennsylvania. They have several strong candidates, including the Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, and Representative Conor Lamb. The Republicans don't really have a next person up Republican to run like the Democrats do, so Pennsylvania is one to keep an eye on for sure. The state of Florida. Florida is interesting because statewide, I could absolutely see it going blue at some point. I don't think Marco Rubio loses Florida, to be completely honest with you. President Trump was able to win Florida by 3 points, and I expect Rubio will outperform that. So I think Republicans hold Florida. That gets the Republicans to 47, Democrats at 51. Wisconsin and North Carolina. I could see Wisconsin going blue. I think that if Ron Johnson runs for this seat, I think it starts out as a lean Republican state to a toss-up state. I don't think the Democrats are necessarily not able to win if Ron Johnson runs. They certainly can. However, I just think that if Ron Johnson doesn't run, this becomes much closer. But like we saw with Tony Evers over Scott Walker, I can see a Democrat coming in and narrowly flipping this race and winning, getting Democrats to 52. I mean, Joe Biden did win Wisconsin, so it's certainly possible. That gets Democrats to 52, Republicans to 47. Now we come down to North Carolina. North Carolina is a state that voted for President Trump and voted for Republican Senator Thom Tillis, and it was very, very close in the polls. Many people, including myself for a period of time, thought this race might actually go blue. Republicans were able to hold on. I don't expect North Carolina will go blue, to be completely honest with you. However, in the Democrats' best case scenario, where they're having a sweeping night across the country, honestly, I could see North Carolina going in the tilt column for the Democrats. I mean, President Obama was able to win it. You would have to see Obama-like margins, but in a 2022 Republican-favored year, I really don't see that being the case. However, North Carolina is still a very close competitive swing state, so certainly anything is possible. So, in the Democrats' best case scenario, I do see Democrats gaining 3 seats, going from 50 to 53. 53 Democrats, 47 Republicans, with narrow Republican holds in Iowa, Ohio, and Florida. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel for future content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.